Pastor Errol Williams here for another Friday night Bible studies, but this time we are having a panel discussion with some powerful men. I'll introduce you to these wonderful men in just a moment. And sure you were here with us, let's say last week. I really do regard these men as very knowledgeable, very wise, very intelligent men. And we will be hearing from them in a moment. We'll be discussing and sharing. And if you have any questions or any comments, please go ahead and put those in the chat room for us. If you're at YouTube or Facebook, begin to put those questions or those comments in the chat room. I could see a lot of people start coming in. So appreciate you guys being here. Glad to have you and so on. But just want to just give you some information as to what's happening over this weekend. So on Sunday evening, please don't forget, we've got Illuminate, Mandate to Shine, and we got Bishop Gabriel Vidal. And I want to say he's a powerful man of God, and you don't want to miss out on that. So go to cogop.org.uk. That's how you get to actually link in with us on that. Welcome, Sister Winsome McCormack, all the way from America. How you doing? Up all is well. Next week, starting Monday, the 25th to the 31st of May, we have 7 days of corporate fasting and prayer, 25th to the 31st of May. 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. will be a full fast or Daniel fast. Speak to your pastor if you are not sure about or clear about what's happening. But again, go to cogop.org.uk, and then we'll have 1 hour of telecast every evening. So that's Monday through to Sunday. And we're looking forward to that. Just want to say to all the women, wonderful things out in the Women's Ministry Department, renewed to soar. We've got Minister Roxanne Corbett and Minister Joyce Fletcher, Minister Alni Powell, and all the rest of beautiful women that you see on the list. Again, that will be telecast here at cogp.org.uk. So please support that, come to that, and so on. Well, for the men, we have Impact and Impactful Leadership, and that's taking place Saturday the 13th of June. So that's 4 to 7 p.m. We're asking all men to come. It's a men-only event. Now, the women is not women-only. It's everybody can come, but our men is a men-only one. And so we've got Bishop Adrian Varlock, Bishop Ted Roy Powell, and some of the brothers as well. So we will introduce those later, but we're looking forward to that. Put a date in your diary, brothers. And if there are sisters here listening, please let your brothers, your men friends know about that. And finally, the final thing I want to say is that we have our global address, which is taking place in July the 11th. And it will take place on that date at 3 p.m. in the afternoon for us, the Greenwich Mean Time. So please put that in your diary. We also want to pray for Bishop Sam Clements and his wife, Linda Clements, at the loss of their youngest son, who's passed away suddenly this week. Our thoughts and our prayers are with the family. Well, tonight we are here to talk about a subject that is, well, close to my heart and to the heart of my panelists. And we're going to come to some thoughts that we want to share with you. But first of all, I'm going to introduce them to you one by one. I'm going to start with the bishop first of all. And then I'm going to just ask him just to introduce himself. And then each of them are going to introduce themselves and just tell you who they are, where they're from, what they do, and so on. And so you could get a feel of who they are. So let me start with Bishop Raymond Vieira. So Bishop, over to you, sir. Just introduce yourself.
Oh, good evening, everyone. As it was said, my name is Raymond Vieira. I pastor the House of Praise, which is based in Bristol. I also serve on the executive board. So it's a pleasure to be with you this evening. God bless you.
Praise the Lord. And this time I'm going to introduce you to Brother Rob Clark. Go ahead, Brother Rob. Introduce yourself, sir.
So, good evening, everyone. My name is Brother Rob Clark, a minister, a member of the Church of God of Prophecy, Small Heath in Birmingham. Married 19 years, 3 children, and also regional men's leader for the men, region for men's leader.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And finally, we have the man I call the Incredible Earl Lynch.
By no means incredible, but thank you, Errol. Um, I serve as a men's ministry leader for Gloucester Street, Wolverhampton. I have a number of other roles that I play in the church as well. And in my professional capacity, I'm a learning and development consultant. So, training companies up and down the country and around the world. Um, and that's me.
Excellent. Well, welcome, brothers. Thank you so much for joining us. I know that we spent the last two Fridays talking about men and their emotions. I just wanted to probably just say if there was any key thing from that that you would like to, just maybe one point from each person. Maybe start with Bishop again. I think every time I'm going to start with Bishop. So and then we go around the clock. I think that way everybody get a fair share of the whip. But is there one thing from men and their emotions, whether we talked about it or we didn't, Bishop Ray, that you think is worth just mentioning or reminding the folks about men and their emotions? Any key thing? Just one thing, maybe.
I think we shouldn't be afraid of expressing our feelings,
Mm,
and it's not a sign of weakness. It's actually our strength. So
excellent,
yeah, that's as much as I want to say at the moment. I'm sure we'll
excellent.
discuss it.
Yes, yes, very good point. Brother Earl, is there one thing?
Um, this week is Mental Health Week.
Okay.
And as a consequence of that, there is a lot of things being broadcast on the television that help to explain men and their emotions. So, on a literal basis, now is a great time to be watching TV. There's three things that I'd ask you to look out for. There's Harry's Heroes, which is about the former England team. There's
Mm,
Being Mum and Dad with Rio Ferdinand. And
mm,
probably the thing which I would say is probably one of the most emotional is the story of Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls. It's called The Last Dance. So you will understand and get to understand many of the issues that are going through men's heads just by
mm.
watching a lot of TV this week.
Excellent. Thanks for that, Brother Earl. Rob.
Yeah, I think over the last 2 weeks, what I observed, we spoke about men crying
Yeah.
and a lot, yeah, and maybe not focused on the other emotions. Although last week we did try and tease out some of
Mm,
that. So I think as we go forward, maybe tonight we can probably explore that the other emotions. And I saw
mm,
some comments last week about what about the aggression,
mm,
or what are the
mm,
lack of emotion and things like that. And and so there's a lot of things we haven't even touched yet.
mm,
So
mm,
I think for me that's what it's really about. Like we need to also explore, and what I said last week was about the communication. How do we communicate? How do we show our emotions? So me going forward, that's the things I'm going to try and tease out,
mm.
express, and focus on too.
Excellent. I think for me personally, it's, when people talk about men don't cry or men don't talk, I think to me that's not well, I don't agree with the statement totally, obviously. Men do cry when they need to, but they will cry in the arms of a woman or anybody
Mm,
else who they can trust, who's not going to throw it back in their face, who's not going to use it as a sign of weakness against them. I mean, I
yeah.
have cried before my wife. I haven't done it as, often. I've done it before. I can only remember one occasion where I broke down and cried, and she has never thrown it in my face. And I've had no need to cry since then. And, that's really one of the things I wanted to share. Let me, one of my next question is really, and I'm going to put it on the screen in a moment, is that we have in the men's ministry department in the Church of God of Prophecy that we all belong to, our mission is to develop better men, husband, fathers, leaders, and lovers. We've added that back in, Rob. So
Yeah.
it was out. So we've added it back in. So the question I'm asking really from each of you. Let me start with Bishop Ray, and I'm going to put it on the screen as you can see. What are the top three things that you believe men should do to be a better man, a better husband, father, sometimes we think we might be good enough, but what, in your opinion, we may have different lists and we may not agree with each other, but in your opinion, what are your top three lists? What would you say?
Okay. As a man of God, a believer, I think my views since I came to Christ have changed, and so what I'm looking for in a person now, how I express myself as a man, is totally different from when I was unsaved. So I
Mm.
think the first thing is that we must love God. We
Yes,
must love God.
yes.
Uh, all the time when I'm speaking to young women who want to get married, first thing they say, "I'm looking for a man that loves God."
Mm.
Yeah. And then it comes to leadership. But I want somebody who will lead with integrity, not a dictator. I want somebody to lead with integrity. I want somebody reliable, dependable, somebody that's strong, and I want somebody
Mm-hmm.
that's confident, not arrogant. I want somebody that's compassionate, and
Mm.
talk to. We men don't do the talk thing. I know I don't do the talk thing very well, but women do talk, and they want somebody they can share their concerns with, their loves, their hates, their pet hates, and their loves, and their ambition for the future. They want somebody that will able to surround them with love, and they grow old together. That's what, from my pastoral position, that's what I see quite often. Women need men of integrity, not somebody that's going to they need to mother. You know, it just doesn't work. Um,
Mm.
they, they,
Mm.
they want somebody that's going to lead, but not dictate. And I think that
Mm.
we understand what leadership is. I hear this word about submission, and I don't think we fully understand submission either. What submission
Mm.
actually means.
Mm.
Anyway, we can carry on that, but I'll leave the rest of the other
No,
guys. But
I tell you what,
submission,
I
I should come back to that one. Submission.
yes,
Mhm.
yes. Well, you've given me. I'm making my notes here, Bishop. You got to know I'm making my notes here because I need to know how to be a better man. You see, it's interesting because we are senior leaders within the church, and it's easy for people to think that we have arrived. When one of the greatest lesson I learned in BTI when we started early Bible Training Institute was the largest room in the world is a room for improvement. And
Yes.
that was a very, very powerful statement. I'll come back to some of the point you made. But over to you, Brother Earl.
Okay. Um, I could quite easily say I agree with everything Bishop Ray just said. And if there were three things, I would say, because this is a monster question, this is a
It is, it
massive
is. Mm.
question. However, communication is always, for me, going to be right up there. The ability to have great communication with your wife, your children, as a leader, as a lover, you want to be able to communicate well. So I would say that's one,
Mhm.
and great clarity. Secondly, the Bible describes Jesus as being the good shepherd.
Mm.
He's the gate, stops the wolves coming in, he stops the thieves and the robbers coming in. Well, the very same qualities that you see Jesus is mentioning in John about being the good shepherd, that's what I would want to be for my family and for my
Mm.
kids and
Mm.
for my associates. I want to be the one who's the protector, provider, promoter, priest, and prophet. And then finally, particularly for my wife, I want to be a great companion. I won't always look as gorgeous as I do now. The teeth might fall out, and the hair will go grey and probably wrinkle up a
Mhm.
bit. But she might fall out of favor with the body, but I can be a great companion. And that's one of the things that I think that many people will look for: good companionship,
Mhm.
somebody who's great to talk to. So those are my three things: communication, the good shepherd, and a great companion.
In fact, I love that. I want to come back to that in a moment. I really do love. I mean, I love Bishop Radley's. Don't get me wrong, because Bishop Radley's is
Yeah,
identical to mine. even though we never discussed it before. But I do love your list. I know you picked up one point from Bishop Ray, which is the communication. But
Yeah.
I do love those points. I want to come back on the great companionship in a moment because let me just say let me not talk too much. Go ahead, brother Rob.
Okay. Yes. Well, I'm glad Bishop and Brother Earl gone ahead because I can cross out some of the top three that I had and add some new ones. So that's awesome. So I think my first one, I'm going to just probably change the phrasing, but I agree. It's loving, but I'm going to say studying the Word of God.
Mm,
You want to have that relationship with God first and foremost. Before we ask
mm,
about what women want and children and wives and your
mm,
leaders and it's about what does God want, and talking
Mm.
about studying, being close to the Word of God. So that and we can change that and reword that, but for me, that's what I look for in me
mm,
as a man. I think the second one then is once I've got that relationship with God, is willing to develop
mm,
myself, knowing that I'm not perfect, that I'm always seeking to better myself, and that starts with me. I hear so many times we always look at somebody else, judging somebody else. It's their fault, and it's the wife's fault, it's the
mm,
children's fault, but it's
mm.
about me. If I can fix
Yeah.
myself and everybody fix themselves, we haven't got a problem. So
Mm,
I really want to study the Word of God and then know what I need to do when I read the Old Testament and New Testament. How do I develop myself so I can lead, as you say? And I
mm,
love that last one, being better lovers. And then my third one is really willing to listen,
mm,
listening to God. And I'm not saying it as a cliche, but also listening to my wife, my children, those that I'm leading. So as much as I'm developing myself, I need to put it into practice. And a lot of that is
Mm.
listening. I've learned in my
mm,
mentoring days that, you can talk all day and give advice, but the best advice you can give sometimes is just to sit there in silence and listen, acknowledge what they're saying. Because often we know what the answers are, but we just need someone to talk to. Hence why
mm.
prayer is such a powerful thing. So those are my three things: studying the Word of God, willing to develop, lead, and being prepared to listen.
Well, well, thanks for that because I don't even think I need to give my list because Bishop Ray had already given my list. He's mentioned two other things. One was love God, and I think what I put on leadership is this servant leadership, and I think that's what Bishop was relaying to, and so on, and again the ability to communicate. So Bishop looked at my list today, I think, and looked at my list and decided to share my list.
Mm,
But those were my list, and it's always been my top three. But I want to pick up on maybe some of the points which were raised and the great companion. Brother Earl, what do you mean by a great companion? I just want to hear your take on that. What do
Yeah.
you mean by a great companion?
All right. Well, when you're young and you see an attractive woman, you might think there's a great chemistry there, and you may fall for the good looks, and you may fall for the physical attractiveness of that individual.
Mm,
And if you're not careful, you go on that alone, and before long, what you may well find is somebody who's more attractive than you comes along, and she may be interested in them, or you may find somebody else more attractive, and you may want to seek after that. So physical attraction is one of the initial things that sparks our interest. But I was always taught, and I've experienced that to have a great companionship with a woman, to be able to talk to a woman, for that woman to understand you, for that person and you to be able to talk on the phone for hours, to be able
mm,
to be with that individual over a dining table and to just talk and to really have each other's interests at the forefront of your mind, to be able to be with that individual and time just melts away. That's what I mean about companionship.
mm,
And
mm,
when
mm,
the physical good looks disappear, it's a companionship that is really going to drive your relationship into the golden years of your life. It's that
mm,
ability to almost know each other and being able to complete each other's sentences. and to complete each other's hearts. That is really the
Mm.
thing that is so attractive. You can see when when a man and a woman have been together and are deeply in love with each other for a long time. Sometimes you don't even need words. They
Mm.
can just be with each other and be at peace. That's what I mean about companionship. And
Okay.
when one is missing, they don't seem to be absolutely complete. I know what it's like to have companionship, and I love it. And my wife and I, we work together, and we also are at home together as well. And some people go, how can you work with her all day and then come home and be there with her all evening, and then you go to bed together and you wake up together? Don't you get fed up? No, because that's my companion, that's my
Mm,
lover, that's my Christian friend, that's my breakfast maker, that's my mate who drives with me to work in the morning. All right, admittedly, she's in one office and I'm in another, but we play different roles, but we're great companions over
Mm.
all the roles that we have, and that's what I think that many of us miss out.
I don't know if Bishop Ray or Earl, Brother Rob, want to comment on that or any,
mm. No,
you have
I can relate
anything?
to yeah, I can relate to
Mm.
having a good companion, and I was glad that you mentioned it, so I didn't have to say it as I said, because it's really important. Looks has something to do with it, because me as an individual, I'm going to speak on my, from my
Mm.
perspective. I always boxed above my weight, kind of that kind of thing. That's just me anyway. So if I get it's a bonus, you know what I mean? But but I think, yeah, the companionship, able to relate, have the same values, I would even go on to say,
Yeah,
because when you
Mm.
yeah,
start off with the wrong values, it's a struggle. You can have the best looking woman, but if you got the if you're a Christian and the other one's a devil worshipper, you're gonna have problems in that marriage.
Yes,
you,
I
you know
agree.
so you got to be, when you say companions, you've got to have those type of common values. and
Mm.
yeah,
and
yeah,
Carol, we met at work, and
Okay.
not for
Okay.
tonight to go into too much detail, but we were able to share our journeys, and we didn't realize how much we were similar in so many ways, and what we were looking for, kind of thing. And it's only just by communication and all that stuff, how we happened to be married, and 19 years has flown past, and
Yes.
it's not been
Yes.
easy. We're still trying to work out one another, with the logic and the emotions and stuff. But I wouldn't have it any other way. And,
Mm.
yeah,
and I think it comes back down to, great companionship and wanting to make it work as well.
Mm. Amen. I don't think
yeah.
Bishop
If
Ray
I
is
could just,
gonna.
I know
Yeah.
you're going around, but
Yeah.
Rob just said something really key there. One of the things my wife and I do on a quarterly basis is we have something we call the house model, and the house model is our shared values. What's our vision? What's our mission in life? What kind of values do we have? And we have this vision that we want to live purpose-driven lives, and we both want to make it to heaven. And we want to be role models and good examples to our children and those who are associated with us. We've got 8 values, and we've been looking at these values for years and years. And occasionally, when we review where we've been on our journey as man and wife, and
Mm-hmm.
where we've been on our journey as Christians, it's wonderful because we can forecast into the future, and we can see things that we'd like to achieve as a couple. And there are things that
Mm.
we still want to achieve as individuals, but our plans are aligned. They correlate with each other, and they also correlate with what the Bible would want for us. And
Mm.
it works because when you keep that front and center of your mind, we talk to the children, we talk to other people who are not necessarily our children, but we kind of take ownership of them as well, and we kind of give insight. We give not necessarily everything they want to hear, but we
Mm-hmm.
share with people because we know that it's part of our duty to do that, both for our immediate family members, our extended family, and for the people who are associated with us. So I like that whole notion of having a shared sense of purpose, where it is you're going,
Mm.
what it is you're
Mm.
doing, and how you're going to live together. We
Mm.
live that. It's really important.
Mm.
Mm. Excellent point. I don't know if you want to say anything that Bishop Ray, so I'm gonna go on to another point that you
I
mentioned.
just want to put what I've heard and is a constant evaluation of the relationship.
Yes.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
Mm.
that's what I've just heard, and it leads me to a point where people say, "Well, I don't know him anymore. I don't know her anymore."
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
yeah,
That,
yeah,
that tells me
yeah,
that they've not had constant evaluation.
yeah.
For instance, as I said last week, the person that I am at 62 is not the same as I was at 21 when I first met Jeanette.
Mm. Mm.
My political views have changed. My views on life have changed. And if we
Mm.
don't talk, then you're going to wake up next to a stranger.
Mm.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's
Mm.
set in. So there's that constant, as Earl said, the big man said, look at your life, constantly evaluate what it's about, try to work out your differences without
mm,
bitterness. And the key element here, going back to this, is the ability to forgive. The
oh,
ability
Mm.
to forgive. I'd like to add that into the relationship. If you
Mm.
cannot forgive, okay, then we have a problem. We have
Yes.
to
Yes.
somehow sacrifice. There are times where you're going to have to, you're hurting, you feel disappointed, but you know what? You're going to have to forgive,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
Because it's how you do that or you lose the most precious thing in your life,
Yes.
the
Mm.
yeah.
ability.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can,
So,
can, can I
so
can I just oh, I thought you finished. Sorry.
as much as what's being said here, if you don't forgive, there's that root of bitterness, as the biblical principle says, then
Mm.
it explodes, and then your relationship disintegrates. And you got to think of your children,
Mm.
your relationship, your extended families. This is a major issue. Always
Mm.
evaluate what you're doing, how
Mm.
you relate to each other. It's sometimes very difficult to admit when you're wrong, but you've got to do that. And often my wife is right. Don't like to tell her
Mm.
that, but she's often right.
So true. Uh,
Well,
so brother Errol, I
Yeah.
wanted to kind of just come back to the question and look at and probably just teased for the people probably watching and for us as well,
Mm.
because you asked, if I remember, what are the top three things we look out for as leaders. And I think we kind of led on to um, maybe what we're looking for in a relationship. And
Mm.
I'd say we're quite blessed in the position that we are in, meaning that a lot of other people from different cultures are put into relationships through arrangement,
Yes.
um,
mm,
Yes.
and then it's expected to work. And it's not so much a question, do arranged relationships work, because I've seen examples of where it does work, but it's just
Mm.
really kind of just putting it out there, because we're talking like we've got a choice in who we become great companions with. But I think I'm also mindful that there's some relationships that was probably pushed by the parents or and so on,
Yes.
the
Yes. Yes.
community and everything,
Yes.
and expect it to work. And I wanted to know if we could encourage those who because there might be a resentment that I never chose my partner. Is it
Mm.
possible that you can have a long-term relationship? And if so, what is it that makes that work based on all that we've
Mm.
just said? Mm.
I mean, we have seen biblically, obviously, that in the case of is it Isaac, I can't remember, yes, and Rachel, and they did
Rachel,
work
yeah.
long
Mm.
line and so on. But I'm gonna hold on to that point. But I want to come back to something Brother Earls mentioned about, and Bishop mentioned touched on it about evaluation. But it's interesting, I think, Brother Earl. It would be interesting to
mm.
know what the statistics are of couples, men and women, who sit down and set goals together. Because what you're
Good
talking
point.
about, when you say evaluate, the question is, what are we evaluating? You see the point I'm
Yeah,
making?
yeah,
And from as a management trainer, we train companies to set goals, set values, and then evaluate those and so on. But is it been your experience, all of you? Do you know men who sit down, set goals with their spouse, and then evaluate them each year? Is that something common? Have you heard of it? Because what you're talking about there
well,
earlier is strange.
yeah. Well, it is strange. I mean, if I give you a comparison, you would, if you answer this question first, how many businesses, corporate business, review their vision, mission, values? Well, I'll tell you because I do this as part of the training that I do for corporate business. Only 16% of businesses literally sit down on a regular basis and review their vision, mission, values. Only 16% of
Okay.
businesses. Now, that is where you're supposed to have a regular review of vision, mission, values, and what you're going to do. Now, if you take it to going home and, being in your private and personal life, I think it's going to be far less than that. It's going to be less than 16%. So, it's unusual. I know it's unusual, but we listen and we look at a number of things that make a successful marriage. And the values that we've had them for many years now, over 12
Mm.
years. Our values haven't changed. Our values, there's 8 of them. We talk about faith and the future. We have a value around fitness and having fun. We have family and friends, and we have how we fund and how we finance our lives. And that doesn't just include us, it includes our children, our children's children. So we've got arrangements that we talk about, nothing detailed. Doesn't have to be detailed. You just have to say to yourself on at least an annual or biannual basis, what are we doing in terms of our faith and our future? How are we living? How are we going forward? So we look at these things, and we have a little motto for our home. What kind of a home do we want? Is it the kind of home that is going to encourage people who are in the family to love the Lord? Do we have an
Mm.
inviting home? And we want a home where people can share their shames as well as their high points, as well as their successes. So you got to think about the whole arrangement. And if you're together and aligned in the way in which you think around your mission, vision, and values, I think it takes you a long, long way forward to having a long, successful, and companionable marriage. So it's just one of the things that I do, and I must
Mm.
admit, it's one of the best things that I do with my wife, and we've
Right.
enjoyed a lot of success.
You've mentioned some of them. I need the 8. So just give me
Okay,
them
yeah,
one at a time. One at a time. Go ahead.
all right. So we have faith
Faith.
and the future, and
Okay.
the
One
future.
second. Future. Future. Yes. Go on.
Yeah, we have fitness and
Fitness.
fun.
Fun.
Yeah, so fitness and fun. So that's all about keeping fit, going on a
Yeah, we got
run,
that.
having family away
Mm-hmm.
days. We have friends and family. So what
Okay.
we make arrangements to do things with friends and things to do with family. And the last one
Mm.
is to do with finance and funding. So we have arrangements about what will we do in our retirement. There's a book.
Let me
There's
let
a
me
word
read
in.
let me read the 8 the 7 I have. You got
Okay,
future. You got
faith.
fitness. Let
No,
me
you
give you the
missed
list I
faith.
have. And I know, but
Okay.
I'm gonna give you the list I have. You got future,
Okay. Yep.
fitness,
Yep.
fun, faith,
Yep.
family,
Yep. Yep.
finance,
Yep.
friends. And there's one
Yep.
missing.
Funding.
But I got
Funding.
is finance is different to funding.
Finance and funding. Yeah, finance and
Okay.
funding are two different. There are things that we fund. So, for instance, we give money to certain
No
charities,
problem. Hmm.
for certain projects. So we fund those, but we have to make financial arrangements like pensions and retirement plans. And there's a word in the book of Proverbs that says a good man makes a legacy for his children and his children's children. So,
Okay.
I want to be in that category.
Excellent. I thank you for that. I like that, and I want to come back to that maybe later because that's a powerful list. Bishop Ray,
Yeah.
you mentioned in your list, I hope I got it right, about submission. I think servant leadership. Women submit to your husband. Men love servant. You talked about that leadership. Can you unpack that a little bit? What does it look like in terms of the day-to-day thing as a leader? Me, I'm a leader. How do you unpack that for me? Does that make sense, the question?
Yeah, I didn't actually say that women must submit. But anyway, we'll
No,
look
no,
at
no.
that.
Okay, okay,
Um,
fine. Forgive me then if I I don't
no,
want to
no,
put you in
but,
trouble, you know.
yeah,
It's biblical.
please.
It's biblical.
But our understanding of submission, I struggle with um, how we look at that. Um,
Mm,
First of all, when we're married, we get married as men. You must understand that that our women, our wives, it's not uh, it's not that they're under us, that they're subservient at all. Um, Women are very powerful individuals, and it's about a sharing of ideas, a willingness to work together. There are times I can't remember a time when we've disagreed to the point where we can't move forward, because we, as Brother Earl said, we gain this understanding, and we more or less know what each other's thinking. After 40, nearly 40 years of marriage, it would be sad if we didn't understand each other.
mm,
We're still
mm,
learning. We're still learning, but um, we plan. We planned our first house. We planned when we're going to move. We had a timeline. We 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 had a timeline when we're going to buy our second house. We had a timeline when we're going to move to our third house, and that's where we are now. So we had a plan. We had a plan, for instance, when the boys, before the boys were born, we decided that we're going to take out a policy that in the event that they went to university, we would have the funds. So that was a clear 20 odd years
mm.
before they came into the scene. And these are things that we need to do. In terms of submission, submission is not somebody under your thumb. It's about leading with integrity, leading with honesty, leading in a situation where the person that is with you will
Your mic
trust
is
you.
coming through very. Your mic is coming through not clearly enough, Bishop. I'm not sure why.
Okay, okay. I'm not too sure why it's suddenly done that.
Carry on now. I
But
think it's coming better now. Yeah.
yeah,
Mm,
but it's leading with integrity, leading with honesty, leading with love and
mm,
compassion. You know, understanding that the women are willing to let you lead, but they have to see that you have the ability to lead.
mm,
Okay? If you
mm,
can't manage your finances, if you can't manage your finances, then you're not in charge of your finances. So if she then decides to take a lead role in the finances because actually you're making the family destitute, well, why not give her that role? Why not say, okay, I can't do it. But, my wife was very good in terms of the boys' education. I'm not going to be get there and say I'm the man and I need to do it. No, she led.
mm,
I'm good
mm,
with finances. I'm good with just getting things in order. She's good with the discipline. And Ray J's 6 foot plus now, and Bob is still trying. But you know, it's about identifying your roles and responsibility in a relationship, and being
mm,
willing to sub onto each other. We don't read that scripture enough. So willing
mm,
to submit towards each other, to love each other equally. And there's more scripture in the Bible where the Bible teaches about men love your wives. There are very few about wives loving their husband. And the onus is on us to love our wives and to cherish them and to recognize that God has blessed us with a wonderful gift. And how, if you want a good relationship, treat your wife well. Treat your wife well, and hopefully it'll work out. But it's about submission is not something that comes easily to anyone, but it is something that can happen when somebody trusts you. They trust you with making the decisions. They've seen
mm.
how you operate. You know what? Let him get on with it because he's doing a great job. So
Yeah,
submission is
excellent, excellent point. Excellent point. I think one of the things which keeps coming up, I don't know, and it wasn't planned this way, is the idea that Rob, that we need to, as couples, we're talking, let's say couples in this case. We know that all men are not married, but many of us are, and it's about working together, isn't it? It's about. But Bishop Ray, I love what you said. You came together about the first house, the second, the third, go on to the fourth and fifth, if you like, the children's education. but I've noticed that most couples do not do what we're talking about here. You know, Brother Earl, you're talking about sitting down and setting goals and setting values and then evaluating those values. This is something that we probably need to pick up on, Rob. I mean, what's your thought on that, Rob?
I think every relationship is different. I think it's about the principle of why you do what you do.
Mm.
You asked the question about setting goals. I set goals and objectives every day, and I'm sure my wife does. And I remember just a few weeks ago, she goes, "Oh, we need to sit down and set goals." I looked and says, "No, you set your goals." Because I'm thinking I've got my goals, and it's not that I don't want to set goals with her, but when my wife says we need to set goals, it's about being aligned to her goals, kind of thing, which is a slight difference, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
what I want to hear is, just tell me where you're going with this,
yeah,
because I've got my goals, and it's
Mm.
not that we don't have things in common, because we do. And there's I heard Brother Earl, right out the eight. We talk about them literally every day in some way. But do we sit down and go, hey, let's come and sit to talk about goals? I'm not going to do that.
yeah,
That's just not me. So
yeah,
I think every
Mm.
relationship's different.
Right, right.
And then you talk about, Brother Ray, you want to come in? I saw your hand raised.
No,
I
you
don't know if
can.
you, yeah. And
You can.
then just to touch on, individual relationships and about submission. I have no qualms to say, wives, submit to your husbands, because I'm coming
all
from a
right.
different angle than Brother Ray. It's not that I disagree with him, but I say that with confidence, and I say that because of the scripture that I read in Ephesians 5 verses 22 to 24. Because I look at the
Mm.
context, and you look at the Corinthian women in particular, they were unruly. They weren't just talking about one husband, they're talking about other men, adultery, and all this stuff. And so they were coming with a certain mindset that they could come into a relationship and go on and go on, so and all that business. And the writer saying, no, 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 you submit to your husband, and you use the godly structure to do so. And I bring that into my relationship. Now, me and my wife, we have a good relationship where we can have a sense of humor and talk about things, because if you know my wife, she's quite dominant, and that's what I was looking for in a relationship. So I got no problem with that. But come that dominancy, and I know she's probably listening, there's that unruliness. So I'm always trying that scripture, because do I love her? Of course I love her. Of course I love her. But there's only one man who can run the house, so we gotta have to just remind each other of that. So I can do
Yeah,
that in my relationship. In some
Mm.
relationships, however, that can be detrimental. There's some men who
yeah,
literally say, I'm going to have the last say. I'm the man of the house. I don't care what you say. And the woman is better placed to do what they need to do. The wife is better placed to do what they need to do. So every relationship, to answer your question, Brother Errol, is
Mm.
different. And so we've got to know who
yeah.
we are in Christ. And then once we know our strengths and weaknesses, is to really
Mm.
develop from there.
Okay.
I love where
Bishop
you
Ray, you
go
wanted
with
to
that, Rob.
go.
I love where you
Mm,
go with that because in our house we got a couple of phrases. It goes like this. This is the one that my wife believes is the one that stands. It's
mm.
happy wife, happy life, right? Now, she believes that's what's going on, right? But really, the phrase should be happy husband, happy life, happy wife. But you got to make the
I'm
woman
not
believe
sure.
it
I'm not
in
so
the
sure
chat.
the bishop is agreeing with you on that one, but
I like, I like human. No, no. Listen,
Mm,
guys, and Rob, I agree with you. I think I'm not sure if I put my
mm,
point across correctly,
mm,
but even in terms of that word submission with the women at that time, there was
mm,
another one. But what we have done, we have used that term about submission, because what
mm,
the writer was about was this unruly attitude towards her husband and going off
mm,
and messing
mm.
around and all that.
mm.
Submission, come submit to your own husband, keep
That's
to
right.
your house. So in
Yeah,
this
yeah, yeah,
context now,
yeah,
we use that in terms of what we do. We use it. You're under my thumb. That is
That's
the
right.
yeah,
word of
yeah.
God.
That's what,
Correct. I agree.
So
I
so
agree.
yeah. I see
so
where it's going.
if that's our objective, then we will always fail. Our marriage will fail because we have a
Yeah, yeah.
wrong theology when it comes to
Mm.
understanding
Yes.
that,
Yeah.
that when we talk about submission, it's a willing act of, yeah, you are the lead, you are the
Mm.
priest of, and if
Mm.
you try to pose that I am the man, then you will have a
Mm. Yeah.
rebellious woman, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
it's leading with integrity, understanding. How many times have we asked our wives, babes, are you all right? Is
Yeah.
everything, you know,
Mm.
I take the policy that many times I can see where we need to go. I can see what we need to do.
Mm.
Because I'm quite impulsive. I'm very impulsive. And my wife is the balance to me.
Right.
Have you thought about this?
Mm.
What happened if? I'm thinking, it's obvious,
Mm.
but wants to check and make sure that this is going to work,
uh,
Mm.
and
yeah.
you know, and I've made a couple of mistakes, and I have to go back and say, you know what, you're right,
Mm.
but it hurts, but that's what you have to do. But um,
Mm.
one of the things we must do, and I'm really concerned about this, that we don't do enough. If my wife don't ask me how I feel, how I'm feeling, if I don't answer her how she's feeling, then I
Yeah.
don't know what's going on. So
Yeah.
we need to place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
I love where Ray's gone with this. There's a number of things that Ray just said. And yeah, I know you're impulsive, Ray, because I've known you long enough now, mate. And I'll never forget one
Mm.
of the first times we met.
I know, all
Errol,
right,
you were
Earl,
there.
all
We're not going to tell the
right.
story, but Ray is an incredible
Everyone,
man. But I love where you've gone with this whole thing around the Corinthians, because the Corinthian women, when some of them became Christians, they looked like the old Corinthian women. And the old Corinthian women, you're right, Rob, they would braid their hair, they would have the makeup, they would wear gold as an ornament,
Mm.
they would be very seductive in the way they would go around.
Mm.
Yeah, multiple partners is not a problem. So therefore, when you hear Paul talk about, you know, so Corinthian women who are now in the church, who are now saved, cover your heads so that you can
Mm.
see a distinction between the new saved woman and the other one. In fact, he said go as far as having a kind of a miserable look on your face. It says that in Corinthians. Don't wear
Mm.
the gold ornaments. Now, what you see has happened over the years is somebody's taken that scripture and they've used it to subject women so that
Mm.
they don't press their hair, they don't comb, they don't wear gold, they don't put on a lot of makeup,
Mm.
they dress in a very reserved way. But that's taking that passage of Corinthians out of context.
Mm.
Our women
Mhm.
are proud to put on beautiful, attractive outfits. They should feel bold and good about looking as best they possibly can. That was just Paul trying to separate this
Mhm.
old set of Corinthian women values, which was quite hedonistic and in
Mm.
pursuit of pleasure, and to separate yourself out of that. He gave some instructions in that letter
Yeah.
to the Corinthians to tell them how to do it. So let's be careful. We're not asking women to submit to something which is in the wrong context. Let's not put them under oppression. Let them dress. Let them come out. They want to be attractive. Let them press their hair. Let them really go out and look magnificent as they possibly can. That's only good for us. It's not bad. And at the end of the day, God's not looking at the dress. He's looking at the heart. That's what Christ is looking at. That he's looking at the heart. And when you fall in love with an individual, you won't want to compromise that. And that whole thing about companionship that I spoke about earlier, it's where you look past what they look like physically and you look into the heart, just like Jesus looks into our heart. And you find something that you will fall in love with and you won't want to let it
Mm.
go. That's where I would love people to be at. That's
Can
my
I
view.
interject?
Yeah,
Please
go
do
ahead.
so.
Can I say something? Um, I think as men, we need to be more confident about who we are as individuals. Um,
Mm,
in a lot of cases, women are very highly educated. Their
Yeah,
income is more than a lot of the husbands.
yeah,
Um,
particularly now. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. They they're high achievers.
Mm.
Now, does that detract from my role as a leader, as as described by God's word? No, it doesn't. And so, therefore, we must. It doesn't matter about those external things, but you come into agreement with each other and say, look, the wife say, I want you to take the lead. I want you, but but you do it because you're more clever than I am. You've got the degree and all that. Well, actually, no, it doesn't. You mustn't relinquish your role as a man, as a leader, as a father, as a lover. You cannot do that because your wife will become disappointed because she didn't marry you to look after you without you looking after her. It was a
Mm.
joint agreement. You made a lot of promises at the beginning. You now need to carry it through. Love your wife. Put
Yeah.
her first. Let her complete you. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's not
Yeah.
all a bunch of roses. There are going to be difficult time where you want to walk out the door, but
Yeah.
mature men sit down and work it out. Yeah, you're going
Yeah.
to work it out. You're going to come to some points in your life where you think, I've had enough. That's it.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's the maturity in you that will sustain you and enable you to battle through. And once you come through your difficult patch, I tell you, things improve dramatically. But it's about us as men taking our lead role.
Mm.
Yeah. No,
It-
if I can just jump in there, is that okay?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, because I'm with you, brother Ryan. As you said that, about women probably earning more, more educated in terms of qualifications. So true, and you speak from experience in that field, but also on the other perspective, if you like, there are men who are struggling now because their wife is earning more, educated more, and not so much that, but their partner is actually um, flaunting it in their face as well. So, as much as I'm 100%, it's like, what advice can we give a man who is in that situation where the wife is not really playing her side of the role? Really, it's like almost. I've heard even the phrase "a pet." The man becomes like a pet, but even the way she speaks to him and the way he responds. So I'm just wondering, through what you're saying, what can we do to encourage? Because I want to encourage the men, because I've been in certain situations, discussions where that has been, who is the head of the household. I mean, we did about a 2-3 months thing on this, going around churches trying to, because it's so deep, because we're talking about marriages here, but there's a lot of single men, a lot of broken relationships because of it. And as much as we as men can say, I'm a man regardless, in reality, when it comes to that, it's a struggle, because when the man's unemployed, but the woman isn't, there's a lot of things that men then get hooked up on because we are men. So what is it that we can encourage people in that situation?
that's a very tough question that you asked there. What can men do? I mean, the one thing we all started off with is love them. Love your partner, love your companion, love your wife. There's right now, I deliver a training course called The New World of Productivity, and it's to do with how do men and women cope in this new world with COVID-19 being around, having to work from home. And one of the things which I'm hearing is any of the professional women, particularly who've come on the course, they're struggling right now because they're playing multiple roles. They're playing at least three roles. One, they're a professional from their business. Two, they're having to be a school teacher at home. And if they
Mm.
have got a husband or a partner, they're having to still be wife, partner, lover, the same thing. And their day starts at anything from 6 o'clock in the morning. And if they work on a global basis where they've got an Asian market in the morning and an American market, that American market doesn't finish until, maybe 10 o'clock at night. So the days right now are incredible. And I heard a woman on one of the calls say something like, my partner is now at home and he's having to play the role of full-time dad. And the guys don't know how to do it. They don't know how to do it. The partner is on the phone most of the time. And if they're not employed, they either take the kid away or the children away and help them study for a couple of hours. They can't take it for many hours because they're not used to it. And they're not used to having little Junior go, Daddy, can you take me to the park? Or Daddy, can you do this? Daddy, can we go and do that? They're not used to it. But, that is something that women are often just asked to get on with. But in this particular environment, I think there's never been more of a chance for a fella, if he's not working, if she is more qualified, to really be a mountain of strength in just helping out. Just show your love in terms of the actions that you do. Literally give her a hand if you're not married, that is particularly, and you are less qualified. If, on the other hand,
Mm.
you are married and you are qualified, do your job.
Mm.
But you've got
Okay.
to divide this up into a
Mm.
division where you both take it in turns. This is a struggle right now for a lot of
Mm.
people.
Mm.
A lot of relationships are going to be under strain. But
Let me-
equally, if you have a great relationship, this could be the making of some wonderful times ahead. Because never have we
Mm.
spent more time with each other than now.
Okay.
So
Can we?
it depends on.
Mm.
Anyway, there you go.
Let me just make 2 points, and then you come in, Bishop. 2 points, two real stories that I came across. One is a brother said he really feels. What's the word he used? He really feels inferior because his wife earns more and his
Yeah.
wife knows more. And
Mm.
he said he's struggling to the max. This is a Christian couple. He's struggling to the max. That's one. The
Mm.
second story is a sister was calling to go and help this couple because the wife turned to her husband, even though the husband was trying hard, and said, I don't love you no more and I don't respect you no more. And it was based around the fact that he's studying to be somebody. I won't go into the particular position. And she was superior in buying houses and various things. And she decided to divorce him. She decided to leave him based upon the fact that she did not respect him anymore, and so on. So how do we really? I was looking at the four of us here, and we are very strong men. We are very intelligent men. We are very. I don't know how much our earning capacity. I know that Bishop Ray is making $1 million a year, but I think
Used
that
to. I
I'm only
used to.
joking. I'm only joking. You used to, but really, what is it? And I agree with you, Bishop. I mean, Brother Earl, about loving. But what do we say to that brother tonight who finds himself in that position? What does he do? Because don't forget, there are women, there are some, not all, who, as you say, brother, I think it's Brother Rob, they might be throwing it in their face. Are you with me?
Mm.
You're worthless. You're no good. I'm better than you. I'm more educated. What does a man do in that situation?
Mm.
Get out, man. Get out.
Huh?
Get out. If a woman's throwing that in your face, what are you there for? She's not. That's not respectful. That's disrespectful. It's
Mm.
clear that
I.
if it's a competition of I'm better than you, I just need you for certain things, then that's not a relationship. A relationship is where you give 100%, not 50-50. You give 100%. You throw in everything. You put in everything. Whether
Mm,
you remember, if you ultimately look at the ultimate commitment, that's marriage, and look at the marriage vows. I will marry you and I will commit to you through being richer or poorer, through sickness or through health, in the good times and the bad times. So, there may come a time when I may become unemployed and sick, and then my wife will be the breadwinner. Do I want to hear that kind of, well, I'm better than you and you're not better than you don't want to hear that. If anybody's got that kind of comment happening to them, that
mm.
may not be a great relationship to be in, and you would
Okay.
need talk that through. Yeah, because you haven't got the
But
same value on the same page.
Mm.
yeah,
Bishop,
I wanted to respond, but I
surely
think Bishop wanted to say
yeah.
something. Yeah.
Go ahead, Bishop. You must have
I.
come
I.
across some of this.
Yes. Yeah. But when I just think that there's something much more rooted, deep rooted than what's been
Mm.
said. I do. I think that experience tells me that when somebody's talking about lack of respect, lack of this and a lack of, there's something deeper than what's been said. And for me as a minister, as a pastor, um, I would want to go into that and find out, well, what's caused this rift between the two individuals? Because she might be speaking from a position of extreme hurt.
Yes.
Okay, something might have happened in the past. I was counseling with someone, and they were giving this guy was telling me all his pains and all his concerns and how he feels. But when I dug deeper, I realized that he was the offender. He
Yeah.
was the And one of the things we don't talk about openly in church is abuse.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
emotional and mental abuse. And so
Yes.
and we have a situation where, yes, he was the main breadwinner. He had a auxiliary job. He was doing something. I won't go into details. She stayed home with the children, but she educated herself. She prepared herself, and when she came to a point where she was financially able to sustain herself and her children, she then told him exactly what she thought. Now,
Yeah.
the way the story around, it was that she was abusive. She was, she was evil. She was horrible. But when you dig deep, she was like a prisoner in the house. But she educated herself,
Yes.
and
Yes.
sometimes we find women don't leave home that easily. Women don't give up on their men that easily. There's something that's not right behind the scenes that we don't know about, and so
Yes.
therefore, being about prejudging the situation. Um,
Yes.
uh, I've been in cases where women, I've just been shocked with the amount of abuse that some of our women have gone through and have not been able or free to talk about. And when it comes out, and they said, right, I'm gone. I'm going to clean up the bank account. I'm gone. Da da da. Everybody goes, yeah, yeah. Look how evil she is. She treated the man bad. Look how he took care of her. But there was a lot of underlying issues that she didn't feel free
Mm.
to talk about. And I'm not saying
Mm.
that's a general rule. I'm just saying that let's be careful when we judge on something.
Yeah.
And I finished this one point. When I met my wife, this is what I don't understand. When I met my wife, she was a school teacher, right? I was a television engineer. Okay, I've just finished my City and Guilds. I've just finished my. I was going to what was a polytechnic then, just to get some more qualifications. But the way I looked at life is that my wife was always studying, always reading, but it drove me to do better. Like, it literally did because she wasn't one for watching television; she was one for studying, and that's how I began to look at studying. And so I was not intimidated by that. In fact, it provoked me to do better with my life. So that you can't say I'm a man and then, oh, I'm intimidated, I feel inferior. Well, why do you feel inferior? Is that because the way you were brought up? Why do you feel inferior? Tell me. You
Mm.
know, what you have to stop working and bring in less money that you feel better?
Mm.
No, there's something not right there. So maybe we need to help the men to look at
Mm.
being. And I remember saying to you, Pastor Errol, when we talked about men being leaders and leaders, and I always say to you is that it's not a problem about men being a leader. It's about a problem about what are the issues that prevent men from being leaders. Do you know what I'm saying? So it might be a poor upbringing in terms of the relationship with their dad. They've never been taught how to be leaders, so they might be insecure. They might be having some hurts, have some painful memories as a child. So they're afraid of coming forward, and I
Mm.
think that's what church, what is happening in the home is reflected in church. Men are not taking the lead as they
Okay.
ought to.
Yeah.
Go on, Rob, and I'm coming
I was
after
going.
you.
Yeah, I was going to say wise words, brother Ray, and you back it up because you mentioned the word polytechnic, Now, only wise men went to polytechnics, and for the younger men, that was universities in our days. So wise words there. So you just backed it up. But I just want to echo
Funny,
that. It doesn't matter. Polytechnic man, they were good. So, but no, seriously, and thanks for the response, because I was throwing it out there deliberately, because I know, I'm trying to help many people in relationships like that, man and woman, where it's almost abusive, the relationship, and we've heard, get out of there. But I want to just urge, before we do that, and I think it's what we've all been saying, is that we need to talk. We need to sit and talk and deal with it, because there's a story, there's a different story behind every relationship. So we today can't prejudge and say, da, 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 da. But if all else fails, then yes, get out. But before we get out, let's sit and talk, because as brother Pastor Ray, Bishop Ray said, there's these things where sometimes we're the offender. And we were talking before we went live about forgiveness. Forgiveness for me is the roots, or the key to many of what we're talking about in relationships, because many haven't forgiven their partners or whoever it was that have abused them, and we take that into a relationship and don't let go of it, and we talk about it forever and a day, and so you have no chance of developing or improving your relationship because of the lack of forgiveness. And forgiveness is a deep subject, and it's hard and it's tough, and oh, I can't forgive, they used to beat me, they used to say this, and but if you can't get to that page of where we can overcome and forgive one another, this is where a lot of it comes in, both man and woman, how we treat one another. So I really want it was good that you mentioned that. And then that it's not just about the forgiveness for me as well. It's about the spiritual maturity, I'm going to call it. The maturity to know, that as adults we make mistakes. So in the perspective of men, we've got to stand up and say, I've made a mistake. And sometimes it's okay to say you're wrong if you're trying to make not to condone anything that's sinful and whatever, but just to kind of diffuse a situation. Yes, I might not be working. Yes, I might not be graduated, but can we sit and talk, because I feel this way? That's we're talking about men and emotions. I don't feel secure right now, partner. And if
Yeah,
the partner's going to continue to abuse, then that's not a healthy relationship, and then you do have to get out. But if you're trying, and you're sitting down and you are communicating and trying, that's what we want to all encourage. Well, I want to encourage you to do that before you get out of that relationship. But no one must put
yeah,
themselves under that relationship. Even Jesus was talking about the except for. There's always extreme circumstances when you have to go, you know what, I'm gonna have to use the exit door. But until then,
yeah,
let's try
yeah,
and work it out.
Yeah.
You know what I
Let me,
mean?
yeah, let me just jump in
Mm,
here, because something you said, Bishop Ray, which resonates with me. You talked about when you met your wife and you went and you studied, and it motivated you to study. And that's exactly what happened in my case, in the sense that when I first came into church as a man, young man, 25, I
mm,
couldn't read and write properly. And I set about what I call self development. I set about reading, I set about listening, I set about educating myself. And if we as men, the scripture clearly points out, dwell with your wife according to knowledge. So if we as men, they're complaining about our wives are more educated and earning more money, Jim Rohn constantly says earning is linked to learning, and the more you develop your attitude, skills, and knowledge, the more money you make, the more powerful you become, the more confident you become. And this is what I have experienced over the years. When I first met Earl was working for a company, if you remember Earl, and
I
man,
do. Yeah,
I was in a serious, study recruit, as it were, for me, and that's what's helped me. So what I would say to men is, what are you doing to better yourself?
yeah, yeah,
It's I would be saying, I would be saying, I want my wife to get better and better and better, but
mm,
what am I doing to get better? It's
yeah,
pointless
yeah,
me
yeah,
just complaining about, oh, she's earning more, and
mm,
more intelligent, but thank God she's that intelligent. Thank God she's
yeah,
earning
mm,
a
yeah,
lot more money than me. But what am I
yeah.
doing? And may I say this in closing? I, I was driving my daughter to school one day, and I said this to her. I think I'd learned it from a guy called either Miles Monroe or Mike Murdoch, and this is what they said. He says, "The more books you read, you're passing people along the way. The more you read, there's
Mm.
a statement that says, 'He who reads leads.'" And you know the statement. I'm sure you've heard the statement. I probably don't agree with it, but you've heard the statement. If you want to hide anything from a black man,
Put in
what
the
do you
book.
do? Put it in a book.
Put
Mm.
it in.
Because many
Yeah.
of us are not reading. For example, Bishop, and I got to make this point. You go to church and you're preaching your heart out. You've prayed about your message. You've studied your message, and the men them just sitting down like this. No one is taking notes. You know, and I said to the church in Wembley, "How you expect to remember this?" You know what a guy said to me one day? "The Lord will bring it back to my remembrance."
Mm.
Oh
Oh,
God! But let me take some comments. Let me take some comments before you come in from. Let me take some comments from the. Just don't want to miss these out. But a point was made here. Marriage is outdated. If there's a good communication, the question is if there's a good communication in a relationship. The question is everything all right? And that's a question
no.
by Abba. What's your thought on that? We've only got 10 minutes left, but if there is good communication in a relationship, the question is
Yeah.
everything all right? What's your thoughts?
No. In my opinion, no. I'm going to be quite bold on this one. Um, Great communication is a foundation. It's absolutely essential that you've got that, or else you won't build a great relationship in the first place. And great companionship is good. But at the end of the day, marriage and having a great partner that you can communicate with are two different things. Marriage is your commitment to that partner. You will lay
Mm,
down your life for that partner. You will make a public statement to your friends and family. And most importantly, you will make a commitment to God to promise to stay with that individual. That's one of the things that I find that a lot of people nowadays, they've got great relationships, but they don't commit. It's the
mm,
commitment. And if I could just follow up with what you just said, all three of you, once you are in that commitment, that marriage relationship that you've committed to, your wife will change and you will change too.
mm,
You will change in the learning years, the earning years, and the yearning years. And as you go through your different stages of life, you have to kind of reinvent yourself, and your wife will reinvent themselves as well, and you've got to be comfortable with where they're going and be parallel to them. If I go back to 1978, I was 1978. I was a musician. 10 years later, I was a manager. I was married at the time, and that transition was something that both myself and my wife then couldn't get on with, and it broke us. It broke
okay.
us, and a number of other things started to happen. But 10 years later, I was a professional. I got professional qualifications. Eventually, I got to the position where I'm in now, where I'm in consulting. It's a completely different picture to what I was in 1978. And if you're not prepared to change, if you're not prepared to go on a journey of continuous improvement, you will stagnate. And who wants to be with a
Mm,
stagnant partner? Not me.
okay. Mm,
So you got to make a commitment to grow and continuously
absolutely,
sharpen,
absolutely.
and message around marriage. That's different, because that's a promise. That's a commitment. Ask
Let me
yourself,
just
would you
yeah,
be prepared to
yeah.
be with this woman for the rest of your life? That's the question. And
But
a
let me
lot of
just read
guys
the
don't want to.
last. Yeah, let me just read the last comments because that's the only time we have time for. We got 7 minutes, and I'd love to hear just a 1.5 minute statement from each of you. He said, "Let's get real. Women do not respect house husbands." That's the comment that's being made, and it says here, "White society, mainly white men, who fantasize about black women, have enabled black women to achieve positions that certain black men can't." That's this person's. Just 1.5 minute each from each of you. What's your thoughts?
Okay, I'll jump in. I didn't quite get some of those statements, and I think they're speaking from their opinion. So I'll have to understand where they're coming from to answer some of those statements. Let me
Mm.
say, but is communication important? To answer that is what are the reasons for marriages and relationships to break up?
No,
And
no. The point
communication is
he's
one.
making here, Rob, is women do not respect house husbands. Do you agree with that?
Women do not respect. I can't
House
answer that one
husbands.
because yeah, because without factual and speaking to house husbands, because I haven't come across any that have said that, so I
Okay.
can't
Okay.
I can't back it up.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I did want to touch upon the communication because I think it is important.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Because as you say that what is the reason for marriages or any relationship to break down, and communication is often a reason why it does. It's not the only one because
Mm.
finance, health, faithfulness, and stuff. So a good communication does help a relationship, but it's not
Hmm.
the only
Hmm.
thing. Because and as I say, to answer that is just to look at why a marriage or any relationship's not working, and communications is within the top three often.
Hmm. Hmm. Next time, Brother
Pastor
Bishop,
Errol,
and then the close
I am,
out. Hmm.
can you read that point again, please? Just
He
one more
says,
time.
let's get real.
Yeah.
Women do not respect house husbands.
Right.
And then he went on to say,
Because.
what? Then he went on to say, white society, mainly white men who fantasize about black women, have enabled black women to achieve positions that certain black men cannot.
Okay. Maybe I'm mixing with the wrong circle of friends. Um, and I'm trying to be as diplomatic as I can. Earl has always taught me to be gentle with words. Um, I find that troublesome, that statement, but there's probably what we've been saying today. There are concerns behind that statement.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but people marry for particular reasons. They marry to promote themselves. They marry outside. Some people marry outside of the race. I've seen this happen. I know it happens outside of the race
Mm-hmm.
because they think it will be beneficial. So
Mm-hmm.
they marry individual for political reasons, social reasons. It happens. And some people marry because they love that person, and that whether
Mm-hmm.
that person's black, Asian, it doesn't matter. They marry that person because they love them. It so happened that that person has a particular job in terms of the financial resources. Fair play to them. Let them get on with it. Now, at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
day, for me as a black man, there's no limit to my potential. Okay, I've always said
Mm-hmm.
to my son, I've always said to my sons,
Mm-hmm.
you live your dream,
That's right.
live your dream,
Live your
achieve
dream.
the highest. I always say to them,
Mm.
don't be afraid of failure. Be afraid of not trying. Failure is a good thing. It's
Yeah.
a positive thing. But
Mm-hmm.
black women, black men, I know people who are extremely high achievers. And in business, I come from a background, as you know, where I've owned 4 companies in my lifetime, and I thank God for those experiences. And
Mm-hmm.
I've met some powerful, powerful black men and black women who have carved out a tremendous career. Um, the problem we have in society, as I see it, is that sometimes these individuals are not spoken about, they're not highlighted, they're not
Mm-hmm.
recognized, and sometimes because these individuals don't actually get back involved in the community, but that's their choice. At the end of the
Mm-hmm.
day, let's not believing that we're not achieving. We are achieving, and I see what my sons are achieving, and I thank God for them because they are high achievers, and and
Mm-hmm.
and we see this in our church that our children are doing things that we could never have dreamt of doing. And
Yes.
so let's not get hung up on that at all.
Yeah.
I'm going to close by
Yeah.
saying this. I'm going to close by saying this. As a man, as a black man, a man of color, as a Christian, 62, I still feel that there's more for me to be done, to do.
Yeah.
I, I,
Yeah.
I have not given up on life.
Mm.
And I'm not going to look at anybody else. I'm going to do what's best for me and achieve the highest I can. And when I draw my last breath, I can look at my soul and say, I've done well. I've done my very, very
Yeah.
best.
Amen.
I
Earl, last.
don't know if
Amen.
I've answered.
Go ahead, Bishop. Finish.
Right?
Finish, Bishop. Finish, Bishop.
Yeah,
Before Earl come in for the last 90 seconds. Finish, Bishop. 'Cause this is.
I don't know if I've answered that question. But,
You
black
certainly
men
have.
do
You
it.
have.
Yeah,
You have.
yeah,
And I think I love the point you made about live your dream. Failure is not bad.
yeah,
Live your dream. No, nobody can stop you except you.
yeah,
all
exactly.
right.
90 seconds, Earl. Go ahead. I know we've got to
Very
close.
quickly, 4 points. 4 points. This whole thing about house husbands, I don't agree with it. First of all, you will find that we are in changing times. Roles are changing. Women are getting a lot more qualified. They're earning more. There will be a lot more house husbands going forward in the future. There will be a lot more house husbands, if that's what you want to term them. But I'm afraid that you got to watch out for that question because it's rooted in bias. There's a lot of bias in that. We've all got biases, and biases, there are preferences, and there's stereotypes, and we can form prejudice and indeed start getting discriminatory if we're not careful. But expect that there will be more women in leadership positions, more women leading households, and roles will be changing. But at the end of the day, if you love each other, you will see past all of that. It's about the quality of your relationship. Things are changing. You can't say I'm the breadwinner. That was maybe applicable in the 1800s, 1900s, but now anybody can be a breadwinner. It's things are different now, and we've got to roll with the times.
Amen. Well, gentlemen, I'm gonna have to stop it there because, boy, we as you know, we just scratch. No matter how long we go on, even if we talk for a
Yeah.
year, we're still only scratching the surface because there's so much that needs to be covered. And we're gonna continue, obviously, on Fridays to see how we can cover some of these points and so on. I only asked one question, and it led to so much that came out of that. But thank you all very much, and no doubt I'll speak to you guys in the week. And Bishop Ray, man,
Yes, sir.
you've take care of yourself, sir, and you've certainly opened my eyes to a few things, and certainly Brother Earl as well as Brother Rob. Thank you guys so much. Love you guys lots, and wish you guys all the very best, and see you
Bless you,
guys
bless
soon.
you. Bless
Yes,
you
sir,
all
God
who's
bless you.
watching.
yes, absolutely.
Did a great job. God bless you.
Wow. Wow, I say I'm just so excited actually when I speak to other men because they see things on a different scale, they see it in a different way. As I mentioned before, the largest room in the world is the room for improvement. And no matter how much you've learned, there's always more to learn. And so I'm so excited and thankful that Bishop Ray was able to share the man I call the incredible Earl Lynch, as well as Minister Rob Clark. And they spoke about their own experiences, and they spoke truthfully and honestly. I'm going to tell you what I heard. I always try to do my review. And I want to say thanks to everyone and for all the comments that has been raised and made and so on. And I want to, first of all, talk about the 7 F's that Brother Earl spoke about. And one of the first points I want to reiterate is it's a very good thing for a husband and wife to meet and to set values and visions and goals. You hear what the scripture says? Where there is no vision, the people perish. It is said that 97% of people around the world do not set goals. And the country is run by the 3% that sets them. So I strongly recommend that you set goals, set values. And these are Brother Earl's values. I have my 8. I didn't mention it. And the 8 that he mentions is what's on the list, but it's just that he used 7 F's. He talks about fitness. That's what I call health. This is my value, which is health. And he mentioned about fun. So fitness is number one. There's no order of priority. I'm not putting them in an order of priority, but if you're making notes, you want to make it quickly. Fitness, right? Secondly, fun. And this is one of the things I think that many relationships don't have. There's no fun in the relationship no more. There's no fun. You got to create that fun. I call it entertainment, but you got to create that fun in your relationship. Number 3, faith. Your faith, in Brother Earl's case, is faith in God. So that's his faith, his Christianity, his belief, his trust in God. Number 4 is family. Family. And this is not order of priority. I'm just giving you the list. Family. Number 5 is finance. I love what Bishop Ray said today. He plans with his wife about the first house and the third and so on and so forth and so forth. Are you with me? And plan the children's education from an early age. I mean, that's truly remarkable. Number, what did I say? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Number 6 is friends. You can't live without friends, right? There's a friend that's closer than a brother. And then he mentioned funding, which is separate to finance. So you may manage your own finance, but you may funding kind of like, what you supporting charities, giving to this, that, and the other, and all kind of different projects that you may want to run. And finally, future, where there is no vision, the people perish. And these is 8 that he and his wife sit down and evaluate. This is powerful stuff. Powerful stuff. Let me tell you what I heard. I heard 7 things when I asked the question. And I want to put the question back up that I asked the men tonight that dominated our conversation. Is that what are the top 3 things that men should do to be better men, better husbands, fathers, leaders, and lovers? Let me tell you the 7 things I heard. Not in any order of priority. And majority, I think all of us said it, is love God. Love God. If that's not on the list of every Christian man, then you're going to have problems in your relationship. You've got to have that vertical alignment right before you can get the horizontal right. And that's a fact. So how much do you love God? Let me explain what love God means. Love God means that you're doing what he says. It's not about the fact that you say I love God, but you're actually literally doing what the word of God says. That's what it means. Love God. Study his word and obey it. That's what love God means. So as men, how do we become better men, husbands, fathers, leaders, and lovers? Very simple. Very simple. Now, others may disagree with me with my simplicity, but love God. That means obey him. Number 2, servant leadership. In other words, it's not a dictatorial leadership, but it's a servant leadership. And as men, we are the priest, we are leaders, and we should lead like a servant, as it were. And you may have to study servant leadership. I can't go into it right now. Our conference coming up will be looking at impactful leadership. And I'm convinced leadership is key. And it came out tonight. Servant leadership, though, is leading in such a way that you're not like a tyrant, you're not like a dictator type leadership, you're a servant style leadership. And there's a difference. Number 3 is communication. Excellent communication. The question was asked today, if you got good communication, does that solve the problem? It solves a heck of a lot of problems if you're talking. Come on, let's be real. If we are communicating and we are listening, Rob talked about willingness to listen. I put that in with communication. You're listening to each other. You're understanding each other. You're communicating. You're talking. You're sharing. Man, it's going to solve a lot of problems. Come on, let's face the facts. It may not solve your financial problems, but it might. Because you're listening to each other. You're making plans to go forward. So listening and communicating, I put together, is something I heard today. Are you communicating with your spouse? Are you listening? I think it was last week or the week before, the incredible Errol said this. He talked about that book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective, people. And point number 5, he said, is seek first. He said, seek first to understand before trying to get other people to understand you. Are you seeking first to understand your spouse? Are you communicating well? Are you sitting down and saying, babe, how was your day? And when she asks you your day, you talk. Come on, listen. If you work for me, okay, and I'm paying your wages as a man, and I came to your work and I came to your desk and I said I need to talk, and you tell me that I'm a man, I don't want to talk right now, I sack you. I'm just getting to the point. When you go home, don't talk about, well, I'm a man, I need to go into my cave. Talk. Come on, let's be real. If you're in the workplace and your boss calls you in to talk, you're going to have to talk because your job may be on the line. Talk and make sure you listen. And the question is, how do we listen? Because many of us do not know how to listen. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, and we need to listen twice as much as we speak. But how do we listen? Listening is a skill. I learned it many, many years ago, and I've taught listening skills. It's a skill. Number 4, I heard, be ambitious. Ambitious. Ambition means that you are not lazy. It means that you're forever trying. You're forever pursuing excellence. You're forever trying your best. Of course, your wife is more educated and she's earning more money. Praise the Lord for it. Even if she doesn't respect you, still praise the Lord for it. I love what Brother Earl said also in that, is love her. Because you're commanded to love her, not because she respect or disrespect you. You're commanded to love her anyway, because what you're going to understand is this. Love is not an emotion in terms of what we're talking about, the agape love. It's a decision you make. I love what Martin Luther King said. He said it's a redemptive understanding of goodwill to all men. God, hear what God said. Jesus said, love your enemy. Matthew 5:44. Love your enemy. Bless them that curse you. Do good to them that hate you, and pray for them that despitefully use and persecute you. We're not talking about an emotion here. We're talking about a decision to love, to take care of, and so on. Number 5. Oh, I love this. Bishop mentioned this tonight. Integrity. Wow. A man of integrity? What does integrity mean? Oh my God, it means let your yea be yea and your nay be nay. Integrity is one of the most important quality and ingredient of a man that wants to be a better man, better husband, better father, better leader, better lover. Integrity. You can be trusted. You're honest. Your yea is yea and your nay is nay. You see, if I can't trust your word, I can't trust you. If I can't trust you, I can't trust your word, because you and your word are one and the same. Number 6. Oh, I love this. Brother Earl built upon this one. Number 6, great companion. I was speaking to my bishop, Bishop T.F. Pullman, many years ago. And he said, Errol, let me explain something to you. You see, when us men are younger, sex is a high on the list. He said, but as you get older and older, sex begins to get less and companionship gets greater. Don't make the mistake, my brother, of not building that relationship on an ongoing basis, because after the children have left and just the 2 of you is left, you might find that it's 2 strangers that's left. So you got to continue to maintain that relationship. As Brother Earl says, have fun. Have fun. Go on holiday, go on weekends. But you can't now, can you, because of the COVID? But you can have fun by playing chess together, playing backgammon, playing Ludo. You remember a thing they used to call once upon a time? What's it called? Snakes and ladders. You don't have to spend a lot of money to do those things. All right, let's go up market then, and let's have some Scrabble. Are you with me? Does it matter who win? So long as you're having fun. And number 7. Oh, I love this one. Probably one of my favorites. It's not the top of the list, but it's a willingness to develop yourself. That's what Rob said tonight. A willingness to develop yourself. Now, I'm going to give you 3 things to focus on in developing yourself. I call it ASK. ASK. And it's called attitude, skills, knowledge. Attitude, skills, knowledge. Attitude, skills, knowledge. I mentioned earlier, the more you develop your attitude, skills, and knowledge, the more you're developing your potential, the more you're worth, the more powerful you become, the more people want to be in your presence, because you're developing your attitude, your skills, and your knowledge. Develop yourself. That's what I've been doing for years. That's what I've been doing for years. Listen to this carefully. Your wife may not be as educated as you at home. Your wife may not be earning more than you in your home. But you know what? You may have to go and work for a woman and report to a female who's more powerful than you, who's earning more than you. A lot of men struggle with that also. So listen, what should you do? Sit there and complain for years about, men? My brother said, and I certainly don't agree with the statement Michael made about, position that men cannot get. No, that's not true. No one can stop me. Nobody can stop me. The only person that can stop me is me and God. Not even Satan can stop me for any position I want. It's not remotely possible. You see, you'd have to lock me up in prison and throw away the key. But if you ever let me get hold of a Bible and the library, you're in trouble. You're literally in trouble. Because I'll read my way out of that prison. I'd educate my way out of that prison. You see, the point here is this, is that as men, we need to take responsibility of our own development, of our own learning, of our own excellence. And you know what all these points, 7 points, have in common? Love God, servant leadership, communication, ambition, integrity, great companion, willingness to learn. You know what they all have in common? It means the onus is on me. The responsibility is on me. The accountability is on me. It's up to me to do something about them. It's up to me to love God. It's up to me to be a good servant. It's up to me to communicate. It's up to me to be ambitious. It's up to me to be a man of integrity. It's up to me to be a great companion. It's up to me to be willing to develop myself. I want to ask you a question. I'm speaking to the brothers here tonight. Even if it's only one of you listening. How many books have you read in the last 12 months? How many books? How many videos have you watched in the last let me just show you something. Now if I can find it, that's if I can find it quick enough. I want to show you something. I don't know if I'll find it quick enough, but no. If I don't try, I don't succeed, right? Let me do it another way. I think I'll do it another way. I'm going to show you something that I did, and it's just a simple thing. It's nothing complicated. So, and I just want to show you a very little simple thing. It's just an example of something that I wanted to just want to share with you. Just don't go, please don't go. I will be there with you in just a second. I just want to show you a page. I'm just waiting for my mouse to get unfrozen. My mouse had frozen then. Oh, it frozen me, but it's working now. Right. All right, let me just bring this. Now, I want you to notice something here. This is me talking, okay? This is Errol talking, so please understand me for a moment. As far as I am concerned, Apostle K.C. Price is the most powerfulest teacher on the planet today. Now, listen to me again. That's just my opinion. And he taught a series on how faith works. This is a series right here. Yeah. This is in pre-teaching many years ago, over 30 odd years ago. It's a six tape part. I've listened to it around 4 times. I taught it in the church, and I'm going to teach it online again. And he taught about how faith works. It's 1 hour each, those videos, 1 hour each. I've listened to it over and over and over and over until I began to teach it myself. That's how much I believed it. And guess how much I paid for that course? You're right. Just my time. And the point I'm trying to make is you can go on YouTube right now, my brothers, because YouTube is my university. That's the university that I attend. When people ask me, do you go to university? I said, yes. Which university do you go to? I go to the University of YouTube. That's where I go to, my university. I'm on it every day. Tonight, before I go to bed, you know, there's a guy I like listening to. His name is Gina Jennings. I love listening to him. Even though he's cursing all the pastors in the world, I love his way of teaching the scriptures. I just love it. Other people don't. They hate him. So, in closing, I want to share 2 last points. And the point is this. Bishop Ray made mention of 2 things, and this is it. Live your dream. Live your dream. What's your dream? Errol spoke about the future as being one of his values, about setting goals and about having visions. What's your dream? What is it? What's your dream? What dream has God given you for your life? What's your dream? What's your dream? What's your dream for your health? What's your dream for your personal development? What's your dream for your community? What's your dream for your career? What's your dream for your family? What's your dream for your finances? What's your dream for your social life? What's your dream for your spiritual life? Those are my 8 values. Earl gave me his 8. I'm just giving you my 8. Want me to give it to you again? What's the dream for your health? What's the dream for your personal development? What is the dream for your community? That's where I put my church. What's your dream for your career, your talents, your abilities? What's your dream for your family and for your finances? What's your dream for your social life? What's your dream for your spiritual life? What's your dream? Spiritual life, Earl calls it faith. The interesting thing about it is his values is identical to my values. It's just I got different words. What's your dream in all those areas? You should have a goal in every one of those areas, at least for this year at least. What's your dream? You know, I want to tell you a story and dream before I tell you the last point. A group of guys at the age of 25, 22, I was 22 at the time, we took over a disused bus garage. We took over a disused bus garage. And we walked around the country saying, this is our dream. We're going to have this and we're going to have that. We didn't have it yet. We're going to raise these amount of millions of pounds. We're going to raise that money, that money, that money. And we actually got somebody to build a model of what it was that we want to see. And we took it around the country, this model. It's a physical model of the building. And we had a top on it, and you could take the top off, and we could show you where the bar was going to be, where the restaurant was going to be, where the sports hall was going to be, where the canteen was going to be, where the training department was going to be, and where the business unit was going to be, and the offices and all of that. And we were telling people about these. This is this, and we were not talking in the if. We were saying, this is it. This is it. And I'm saying, live your dream. Set your dream and live it. Go for it. Don't let nobody tell you you can't achieve it. Nobody. Remember, I asked a question earlier. How many books did you read last year? How many videotapes did you watch? How many audio tapes did you listen to? Let me estimate how many videos I think I watched in the last 12 months. Are you ready for this? Way over 1,000. way over 1,000. There are 365 days in a year, and I wouldn't begin to tell you how many videos I watch per day of some of the greatest speakers on the planet. For me, that is. I watch over 1,000 in my car, in my room, before I go to bed. When I wake up in the morning, I'm listening to them constantly, sowing into me, building me up so I can get better and better. Live your dream. And finally, I like what Bishop said. Failure is not really failure. Failure is not bad. In fact, I picked up the point from Dr. Mike Murdoch. Failure is a part of success. Take, for example, Thomas Edison, who discovered the light. They came to him after he had discovered the light, and they came to him and says, Thomas, you know, you developed a bad reputation in the community. We were beginning to think you were crazy and mad. Now you've got to admit that you failed all these hundreds of times. And Thomas Edison said, no, I never failed all these hundreds of times. I just found hundreds of ways it didn't work. You see, you got to change your concept of failure. Do you know that successful people fail more than unsuccessful people? Because unsuccessful people, after they failed 1 or 2 times, guess what they do? You got it. They quit. But what does winners do? Winners never quit, right? You know the statement, winners never quit and quitters never win. And so failure is not bad. You fall down, get up, go again, brush yourself off, and go again. A businessman once said to me, millionaire, he said, in order to be successful in business, you may have to fail at least 12 times before you succeed. Wow. Wow. So whatever you've given up on, don't quit. Don't quit. Don't throw the towel in. Don't quit. If at first you don't succeed, you know the saying, try and try again. I want to thank my guests tonight. They were truly amazing. Rob Clark, Errol Lynch, and Bishop Ray Vieira. Wish them all the very best in their endeavors and their pursuits, and with their family and their children. To God be the glory. To God be the glory. The question tonight has been a very, very effective question, I think. What are the top 3 things? I really was looking for the top 9, but I got the 7. And I want to repeat them in closing. Number 1, my brothers, if you really want to be a better man, a better husband, a better father, a better leader, and a better lover, number 1, love God. That's the top of the list. Love God means you do what he says. Number 2, lead well. Be a servant leader. Now, if you don't know how to be a servant leader, hey, how do you do that? Go on YouTube and type in leadership and put TD Jakes there. One of the greatest speakers on that subject. Casey Price, Miles Monroe. You've got other leaders, and they will teach you how to be a servant leader. And you didn't pay nothing for it. Number 3, communicate well, listen well, study listening, study communication. Number 4, ambition. Number 5, integrity. It's a very important word. Number 6, great companion. And one of my favorite, a willingness to learn. I think let me see something here. I don't know if I can do this before I quit. Let me see if I will be allowed to. Yeah, I think. I don't know, my children are outside making up noise on the street. Right. Let me just do this quickly before I go. Willingness to learn. These are the 3 things I mentioned that you need to develop I want you to think of a triangle. And in this triangle, you've got attitude, skills, knowledge. Are you with me? The three areas of your life that you need to develop. Well, success, someone says, is 60% attitude and 40% skills and knowledge, which is aptitude. So attitude is very important. Aha! Attitude is so important. Now, if your attitude stinks, my brother, nobody wants to live with you, work with you, play with you, or go to church with you. Let me say it again. If your attitude stinks, nobody wants to live with you, work with you, play with you, or go to the church with you, right? So, therefore, you need to work on your attitude. Work on developing your skills, whatever your skill set is, and increasing your knowledge. Daily. Daily. Now, this was a commitment I made. You don't have to do the same thing. I decided to spend 2.4 hours every day studying and improving my ASK. Now, the more you develop your attitude, skills, and knowledge, the more money you make, the more powerful you become, the more confident you become, and the more people want to be in your presence. Let me say it again. The more you develop your attitude, your skills, and knowledge, the more powerful you become, the more money you make, the more confident you become, and the more people want to be around you. That's what I've discovered. Develop your ASK. Work on it. When? Every day. Every day. Let me say that again. Daily. Daily. Spend money on developing yourself. Increase your knowledge. Increase. Every video you listen to, you're increasing. Work on your skills. What are you good at? Are you like, I've got my keyboard right here. This is where my keyboard is. My keyboard is right here. My guitar is just over there. And my drum set is just over here. What are you good at? I'm a chess player. I play chess. Let me see if I can get to my chessboard now. I don't know if you can see it. I think I've messed up the whole plan now. And let me see. I don't even know if you can see my board. Maybe that's all been messed up. Let me see if I can go back. Right, there's my thing. So I'm a great chess player. I was playing Brother Errol's son yesterday. I could only play one game, so we have to continue playing a few more games. So I can start a game right now. I've just started a game with somebody. And you know, it's going to start up in a moment. I'm looking for an opponent. Look, I've already found an opponent. I don't even know who he is. What's his name? He's from where is he from? He's from New Zealand. And he used to make his move. He hasn't made his move yet, so I'm going to make my move. You see, I'm going to see how fast I can play this game and so on. So he's done that move. I'm going to do that move to protect that piece. And I know what he's going to do next. That was obvious move. And that's what he's going to do next. So I'm just waiting for him now to make his next move. And so I'll protect that piece over there. And I'm playing a game of chess. And I'm not a grandmaster as yet, but I'm not too far from being a grandmaster, I don't think. I don't think I'm too far from being a grandmaster. So, yeah, this is a game. And I also play backgammon as well. You know, if you ever play backgammon, I used to be the Yahoo backgammon champion. And that was many years ago. I've been to play professionally backgammon, but I know he was going to do that move, so let's do that. And yeah, so there you have it. So now what's he going to do next? Boom, 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 boom. So I see. Right, so anyway, I'll finish this game off with that. What did he do? He did that. So I'm going to do this move here and see what happens next. And let's see. Yes, that's exactly what I was expecting. So I'm going to do that. I'm not even sure if I'm not losing a piece yet, actually. Okay, so I do that. So things is not too bad. So I'll do that here. So I'm a piece up. So yes, I'm a piece up. So I can actually do that because I'm a piece up. So that's no problem at all for me. So he's gonna have to take me with his queen next. So I'm winning at the moment, so by 1 point. But yeah, anyway, obvious move. Okay, right. Let me just stop it there then. Got carried away in the game of chess. Yeah. Well, guys, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for staying up, all of you guys, and really do appreciate you guys. I'm not sure what to do next with my next move, but I don't know. Maybe I will do that move. I don't know if that's the right move to do, but boom, 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 boom. Oh, I see. That's what he plans to do. But let's see. I don't know. Let's do this move. No, I don't know what to do next. So I will do. I don't know. Maybe I'll do that. I don't know. Talking to myself here. Okay, let's do that. Well, guys, not unless you want to stay back here and see me play a game of chess, but I'm closing out and not sure what moves to make next. But I think I'll protect that piece there. That's unprotected, and we go from there. So he's coming down. Good move. Good move. Not gonna do that. So let me do that. Mm-hmm. Okay. If I do that, that wouldn't be wise. So let me do. Okay. Not sure. Yeah, this is a tricky one. So let's go over here and see if I can create a position that would win me the game. Yeah. Anyway, I got carried away with chess. Thank you, guys. I'm going to close out and wish you guys all the very, very best. And yeah, wish you guys all the best. Wow. What should I do? Should I do that? Okay. Okay, let's come back here. Yeah, that's obvious. Obvious move. That's an obvious move. Okay. Okay, let me see now. How do you do this? Yes. Let's just do that and see where he's going to go next. Still one piece down. Yes, that's pretty good. Pretty good. So he can't do anything really. Let's see. Well, thank you, brethren. Thank you so much. Thank you. Gonna see you guys later, and I'm gonna call it a night there. But if you want to see me play chess, join me at chess.com. That's where I normally play each night when I get a chance. So take care, guys, and see you guys soon. Take care of yourself, and please don't forget that we have let's see here. I just want to remind you of this event here on Monday through to Sunday, and that's the 25th. Please come along and join us, with that. Thank you once again for joining me, and wish you guys all the very best. Good night for now. And take care of yourself. Have a great weekend. Bye for now.